could you be in a much picturesque spot than this? In the Clare Valley, Koonowla Wines. Nick, tell me about how the name originated for the winery.
Well, when I purchased Koonowla, I set about trademarking the name with the view of having an international trademark for export.
Okay.
And we got the approvals on the condition that we included the Aboriginal meaning of the name, which is the watering place.
Right.
So this is, I guess, back in those days in the 1860s, a lot of the settlers were using, as you know, in roads and other areas, the traditional Aboriginal name of the place. And so here behind us is the actual watering place. This is where all year round there is water, and it's in this spot that one can imagine is where the local people used to camp.
So they came here to camp because there was always water here.
Yes.
24/7.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's how the name originated.
That Koonowla, meaning the watering place, is from what's standing behind us here.
And hence we are right smack bang in the middle of summer. And
yes, and there's still water there.
Yeah, but there's still water, so all year round.
If we were here in winter with the creek running, then there's an abundance of water. And as you can see, there's a lot of trees and flat areas here for camping.
Good camping ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, finally we're going to crack into some wine. So what are we going to go through first?
Well, Nathan, I think we've got on the table three of my favourites. Well, we do have three of my favourites.
Three of your favourites. Funny about that.
We're going to start with the Pinot Gris.
Pinot Gris.
Yes, which we grow in two of our vineyards, one at the Bass Hill Vineyard and another block of Pinot Gris here. And yeah, it's really, I guess, one varietal we can't make enough of.
You can't make enough of it?
No, it's
flies
probably,
off the shelf?
Yeah, we have a lot of demand for Pinot Gris and it's growing, and we've just planted another block here at Koonowla of Pinot Gris. We replaced an old block of Cabernet. So yeah, one of our more commercially enjoyable wines to make, because we get to sell it and we get to sell it for good prices. So
righto,
let's have a try.
Yeah, let's crack into it.
Yeah.
And you said it's one of your favourites?
It is.
Yeah.
It's you can. It's one of those wines where you can really taste the fruit. It jumps out at you, and it's you know, we always try to market the current vintage, so the 21.
I'll have a little bit more.
You will have as much as you like.
That'll do.
There we go.
And, otherwise, you have to re-pour.
We've found that this wine in particular, what jumps out at you is its pear and spice, and just happened to have some pear on the platter.
Oh, funny about that. So let's have a look at the colour. Straight away, the colour's striking me like it's almost crystal clear, isn't it? Is that because it's so fresh, or?
Yeah, it is. Yeah? It's a fresh vintage, but it's also, if you look closely, there's just that hint of yellow and green, and there's a subtlety to it. It's probably what you're holding it up against. You can see there.
I need a white background, don't I?
Yeah. So
on the nose, you're pretty keen for a drink of it, aren't you?
Yeah. You can. On that
citrus?
second sniff, it just jumps out at you.
Pops, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful.
So, cheers.
I've purposely served that not too cold, so you can really feel.
Well, that's we've had this argument with people before that it's a room temperature, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what difference does it make if you pull it out of the fridge and it's freezing?
Flavour.
Taste
that now.
The fruit doesn't pop like it does at room temperature.
I'd like to start having it cold.
Yeah.
But for the purpose of our tasting exercise, it's nice to get that taste straight out.
Yeah. So as a layman, I tasted pear straight away, crisp, very clean. I have to have another taste just to make sure I was right.
Spice.
When you say spice, what?
Well, it's
I can never really pick up a great deal of spice in wine.
To me, it's sort of more like a traditional spice, a sort of a cinnamony type of
cinnamon?
thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It's you know, for me, this is a perfect summer wine.
Summer
This is,
wine, yeah. It's got summer written all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And we got this amazing platter. This is from the cellar door?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we provide the platters here during all of our opening days, and we've featured cheeses from the Smelly Cheese Co.
Right, eh?
So we've picked the very best cheese that is available commercially. A very good quality prosciutto and suppressor.
Okay.
And of course all the other condiments we have with it. So we've just chosen to have some really good quality ingredients in our platters, and they're going very well.
So what would you have with the...
Pretty obvious. I think we should have some of the
We're gonna have the pear
to clear our palate.
We're going to cleanse our palate with the pear?
Indeed.
All right, I'll go first.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about where people can get, beside ordering it from your website, where else can people get this wine from?
Our wines are for sale in a lot of the better restaurants in Adelaide. Estia and is probably one of our iconic restaurants, Australia's best Greek restaurant. I'll give them a plug. And we generally for sale in a lot of the big commercial on-premise Booze Brothers and you know, some of the bigger pubs around Adelaide. So it's generally just look us up online.
Yeah.
Our biggest piece now is direct to consumer.
Okay.
We have got a pretty quick online to delivery time frame.
Yep. And is there a wine club?
Yes, of course.
Give
And
that a
wine
plug.
club members get a discount.
Okay.
So it's a fairly traditional model, but we are really looking at changing the way things are done in the wine industry. I think the whole future is direct to consumer.
Yeah. And building that relationship with the client?
Frustrating thing at the moment is the licensing constraints. I think for us the holy grail will be when we can team up with Uber Eats.
Right.
That's
Or Uber Wine. Uber Wine would be good, wouldn't it?
I think,
We might have to patent that as
Look,
our own little idea.
We're lucky. We've got a national distributor who distributes our wine all around Australia, and we've got probably about 50 outlets in South Australia that sell our wine.
Cool. And what about internationally?
Internationally, we are about to do our first trade expo in the UK in June.
At the London Wine Show?
Yes,
Yeah.
and hopefully that will bear fruit. We've also this year going to Singapore and Korea.
Okay.
So
They're very emerging markets, aren't they?
we've got a big push on to export. The domestic market is, as you know, flooded.
Saturated,
There's a
definitely.
big lake of wine filling up over the next couple of years. So I'm a realist. I see it as an opportunity for us to really change the way the industry markets, and it's a pretty old model. Not much has changed. Everyone talks about digital, but the digital offering isn't all that diverse at this stage. I think,
It'll evolve over time, no
It will,
doubt. But
yeah.
the younger Asian market is something that they love, emerging varietals.
Yeah.
And I've been told that what they actually love is to go to I call a rally bash, so a family dinner. They go to the family dinner, they bring one of your wines along, they put it on the table, and mum and dad are used to drinking the top of the range wines. They have a taste of this and they go, wow. And that's what their kids are looking for. The younger generation are looking for something different that's amazing.
People like to show that they have got a good palate, and they're smart about how they find wine and what they buy, and it's not necessarily going after a traditional well-established label.
No.
I mean, the difference is this. Everything we grow is a high category of wine grade. So most of our fruit would be, say, a B+ grading of fruit.
Yeah.
If you've got a brand that has grown tenfold in a short space of time, they can't possibly put the fruit into that they used to grow. So it's all brought in, and it's not, I'm not knocking being a big wine producer, but the fact is that the quality that we put into every single bottle is the same year in, year out.
Yeah, okay.
And that's the way we want to stay. We grow everything we bottle.
Yeah.
We don't buy fruit in. And
Hang on, let me ask one question on that.
yeah.
Do you sell any fruit?
no,
Or you
no,
everything you grow?
We manufacture everything we grow.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
We'll so probably at the moment, around 280 tonne of fruit per annum. And that's growing because we've replanted a lot of vineyards and, taken a lot of non-productive blocks out. But for us, it's all about the future of wine is having not just direct to consumer, but more efficient ways of getting direct to consumer.
Yeah.
People want wine delivered to their door, and that'll be a challenge for the whole industry to work with the authorities and get licensing changed so that we can start to do. Well, they already do this in the UK.
Right.
You can have wine delivered to your door.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be easy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would be great.
It would
well,
be.
good work.
Good start.
Cracking
You
first wine.
liking that?
I actually loved it. I was thinking it would go perfectly with summer, and I'm thinking the pear was great, and it's actually the wine was a lot creamier once I had the pear with it. Acid of the pear cut through it. But I'm thinking this would go really well with some seafood as well.
Yes.
Yeah?
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Thinking maybe some crayfish or something like that.
Great lunchtime drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we've started off extremely well. The first wine was an absolute winner. So I'm just going to knock this back and we'll crack on to wine two. All right. So
Next wine.
Nick,
This.
you've been talking this up, and I'm going to quote what you said.
Okay.
You told me it was the best rosé in the world.
Possibly.
No, you didn't say possibly.
I did.
I'm quoting you saying it
All right.
is the best rosé.
Let's go with your statement.
All right, why not?
You've
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. Okay?
This was an experiment. We decided to make a rosé out of Merlot.
That's unusual, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And this Merlot's just up here on the hill. And it's turned out to be a very successful experiment. This wine, I can say, will sell out well before our 22 vintage is ready.
So you can't make enough?
So you be the judge of this.
Right,
Let me
then.
get you to try this. What should come out is sort of watermelony flavours.
Hang on.
Very
Watermelon.
yes.
That's not a winemaking term.
Well,
Is it?
nothing we do is really
Oh, well,
traditional.
I'm actually
here,
liking it. So colour-wise, very on the rosé scale, very pale.
Very pale.
Yeah.
It's gotten away from the onion-skinned colour
Okay.
in the rosé and gone to a more traditional pinky hue. And we've just sweetened it a little from the previous vintage, but still very dry in its flavour.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
On the
yeah.
rosé scale of sweet to dry.
Dry.
Dry?
Dry, but just not too dry.
So would we say if dry was 0 and sweet was 10, would we be sitting about the middle?
Maybe a 4.
A 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what
So-
about on the nose? I was looking for strawberries and cream, but it's got a different fragrance to it. What would you say?
Well, to me, it sort of has that little bit of watermelony hint about it.
There is quite a melon.
That's the flavour that comes out for me. But this, after your second glass, it doesn't have that sort of back palate. It just stays soft and mellow, and it's very similar to our Riesling in that respect. It's just a lovely, quaffable wine.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, it's silky smooth, isn't it? Well, there's that. The sweetness is there and the fruit's there at the start, and then the dryness kicks in it, but not.
You're not drinking a sweet wine,
No,
but
you're not
it's
at all.
also.
But the fruit is very fruitful, though.
Here at the cellar door, at our functions, which we have every month, we have an evening function here.
Well, tell me a little bit more about that.
Well,
So once
First
a month?
Friday
Yeah.
of each month, we have a musician, a food van, and we change it all the time.
Yeah. So supporting the locals?
Yeah, we have probably 60% of the crowd here are locals, 40% are people who are in the valley for the weekend.
Nice.
And we sell out. We have probably 120 to 140 people
Right.
here on the patio. And this is our biggest seller
Yeah.
on those nights. It's always, I don't know why, but we seem to sell more rosé on those nights than any other single wine.
Wow.
And of course, the local guys just drink our beer.
Yeah, or the guys.
Nothing you can do about that. No.
The wives are drinking the rosé though?
Yes.
Yeah. Very, very different. It wasn't what I expected at all. And I'd have to put it in the smashable scale.
It is. It's
Or dangerous, as I call it, because you can't have one glass, can you?
No.
But it's also the sort of wine where sharing with a few people, you can have a couple of bottles and you can have it over lunch and then continue on with your day. It's not overpowering.
I'd be going for the olives with this.
The olives?
And a bit of cheese.
Right.
Perfect.
Well, maybe you chop me up a little bit while I serve myself one of these nice little biscuits. And where did you say the cheese was from again?
Smelly Cheese Co.
Smelly Cheese
Yeah,
Co.
they've
And
got quite a reputation.
This is just a cheddar?
That one is.
Yeah.
Yes, and we normally have one of
Are you
these
gonna
soft
have a
cheeses
sample
as
as well,
well.
or?
I will in a moment.
Yeah,
I
right.
will. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what else do you use the Merlot for that's in?
Well, we are making. We had made a sparkling Merlot, a red, out of it. At the moment, the Merlot goes into our blend, our Bordeaux style blend. So we don't make an individual Merlot varietal. It's basically put into the rosé because we have so much demand for it. So it's definitely something we're going to continue. We'll keep leaving the Merlot aside for this rosé. It's become one of our signature wines, and we just want to maintain that. So
I'll tell you what, that's quite a sharp cheddar, and it did pair perfectly with the.
Yeah, it's
that's a great little pairing.
They're a great. They have great offerings. The Smelly Cheese Co. We made the decision if we were going to do platters, they were going to stand out.
Yeah.
in terms of quality of ingredients, and
You kind of have to, don't you? You got to if you've got amazing wines, you got to have the food that complements it as well. To me, that's what wine's all about: is sharing. Number one, with good company, as yourself, and then also pairing it with great quality food. Just really accentuates the wine.
that is sensational.
It's good cheese,
Beautiful cheese. We've also got, I guess, a partnership with a small goods provider who give us really the very best quality. We get it fresh every week.
We've got to drop their name or give them a plug or.
Well, it's just, I'll tell you, it's a small Italian family down in the western suburbs of Adelaide.
Okay.
And, it's one of those stores that just supplies the local community. So they don't dare serve
Right. They don't need a
bad
plug.
quality.
Yeah, they don't need a plug because no doubt that's running out.
I don't want people from the eastern suburbs to discover them.
Right, fair enough. You don't want to share. Okay, I'm gonna have to have a little crack of it. Did you say this was a suppressor?
Suppressor?
Yeah, one of my favourites, and I reckon it's going to go really well with the rosé.
So now this should be really tasting very smooth, very soft on the palate, and you can just keep quaffing this for the rest of the day. The reason I made the crack about the rosé is it was never a drink of choice of mine, but now I can actually enjoy a whole bottle of it.
I'll tell you what, I'm actually starting to fall in love with it. I went on a national wine show for International Rosé Day. If I'd known about this, I would have taken it on. And nobody else turned up. I was on the show and was on my own for the whole 60 minutes, plugging myself and the rosés I love. And I'll tell you what, this is right up there.
Our winemaker's got quite a history. He
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about
well,
the wine.
okay. Our Brian Croser's team, who were Petaluma fame
Okay.
and Tapanapa now,
Well, we're dropping some big names there.
they are our winemakers. So
Yeah.
we've decided that, you know, when it comes to making our Riesling, which we'll try later, we would make sure that the whole process is getting the very best out of our fruit. My whole, I guess, strategy for being a wine producer was to ensure that we grew the best fruit we could possibly do in this climate. And
Yep.
most of our fruit yields about 2 tonne per acre,
And,
which is very low
As a
yielding.
layman, is that
That's-
low
that's-
yielding, high quality?
Low yielding, high quality fruit, and water's an issue here in the Clare Valley, but we have a beautiful climate, beautiful soil. So we've got the ideal, I guess, elements here for producing very, very high quality wine. And it's no use sending that off to a bulk producer or winemaker who doesn't know how to get the best out of that sort of fruit. And our team, headed by Con Moschos, who was, Mount Adam fame, and Con's had a history of making some extraordinary wine, are pretty exacting in what they do. A lot of this fruit here is hand-picked.
Right.
Not all of it, but a lot of it is hand-picked. Our Riesling is hand-picked. The
Yeah.
Pinot Gris is hand-picked. And so, it gets to the winery whole bunch.
So love all the way through from the winery,
No,
from the vineyard, all the way through to the winery.
the only people who influence the fermentation are the winemakers.
Yeah.
It gets there in, perfect condition.
So you're getting the best possible fruit, the best possible winemaker, putting it together.
Yep.
It's easier to
Yeah.
make. It's easier than making a chocolate cake if you've got the right
Exactly.
ingredients.
Yeah.
And then producing these amazing wines.
Yep, absolutely. And
It's not
you know,
rocket science, is it?
It's not. And look, every year we sell out our vintage of Rosé, Pinot Gris and Riesling,
Yeah.
and we'll start selling the 22 vintage towards the end of the year. And
Okay, let's give us an Australian Wine Weekly first. When?
probably the 22 whites will be about October, September,
Oh,
October.
okay.
We'll have to bring the Pinot Gris forwards because we're about nearly sold out.
Okay. So demands. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can see why. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, the third of the Koonowla wines we're going to try
Yeah.
today. I know this is a definite fact, I'm going to tell you now, because I'm
Right.
not prone to exaggeration. This is the wine that Jesus drank at the Last Supper.
Right.
Primitivo.
Your wine.
It's the...
Not your wine,
It
but
wasn't the one we
variety.
made. It
Yeah,
was one of my ancestors.
Okay.
But this is, I believe, the oldest recorded varietal of wine
Ooh.
made.
Right.
Primitivo.
Where was it made? Georgia?
It is Puglia?
Puglia?
Yeah. I know the Georgians would lay claim to the oldest recorded wine, but it's
So Primitivo. So yeah.
this is a treat.
This is
a single varietal. We produce about 500 cases a year
Yeah.
of this, and tell me what you think. It's
So where's Primitivo usually?
Puglia.
Puglia.
Yeah.
But where's it? What do we usually use? Do we put it in blends or have we?
You don't see much of it as a single varietal. It comes from, a lot of it's imported from Italy.
Yeah.
As far as I know, we're the only ones in the valley that make it as a single varietal. So
Okay.
whether it's blended or not, I don't know why you would blend this with anything else.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. So colour-wise,
Yeah.
how would you describe the colour?
A bit on the lighter side of a
Yeah.
Shiraz, but it's a very individual standalone. Lots of flavour. Yeah,
On the nose,
yeah.
just popping with. It's almost cherry.
Yes,
dark.
yes.
Actually, for the colour, it's the smell of it is really giving me a cherry, and There's also something else at the back end there too. Maybe even
Peppery.
Yeah, there's. I can smell a tiny bit of spice, which is unusual.
This is a wine I can quaff all night. It's one of my. I've chosen 3 of my favourites, and this is definitely up there as one of my favourites. It's an alternative to drinking Shiraz every night.
Yeah.
Or a Cabernet. I would go for this.
I myself love a lighter wine, the Pinots, the Grenaches. This is right. It's quite tannic though, isn't it? It's got that little bit of bite to it. A question for you straight away. What are we drinking? The 19.
19. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you lay it down for? What would be the? I know as the owner you would say drink it right now and buy more, but
That's exactly what I believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
you reckon it's
Yeah. I don't think any of our Primitivo would see out the year. And people buying it, they buy it to drink.
If I'm going to, I'm going to buy 6.
Well,
right?
you're drinking a 19,
Yeah.
so it's been aged.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years,
Yeah,
and
it's ready to go.
what sort of what's the process in the winery?
With this, it's pretty much the same as Shiraz. It's probably less time on skins. You know, it might be sort of 20 days or so.
What sort of oak are we putting in?
Oak. Most of our wine is probably a blend of old and new. It's all French oak.
Okay, so it's all quality oak.
Everything is French oak. So this would probably see about 12 months.
Yeah, right. Eh?
Yeah.
So what's the next release of the?
The 2020 will be bottled probably next month.
Yeah,
and then it'll sit in bottle for a couple of months.
Yeah, obviously to avoid the bottle shop.
Yeah. So
this and food wise.
Oh, right in front of us there, the prosciutto, the suppressor.
Any of the meats.
Yeah.
What about a pizza? Would it go well? It's a pizza wine, isn't it?
You know, as I said, I mean, Jesus probably had pizza at the Last Supper and Primitivo.
Right.
You know, if it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for us.
Right, fair enough.
Think, so
I'm going to have a crack at the prosciutto, and tell me, well, don't tell me, but tell the viewers, where can they watch you guys? Are you on social media?
We have a lot of social media and our websites, of course, and, you know, buying Primitivo, which is a very limited release. A lot of this is sold through our wine club and online. Not much of this is retail here at the cellar door. And of course, you know, a lot of our wine is dedicated to our wedding functions. We have about 10 weddings a year here at Koonowla.
And is it true that you booked out for 3 years?
We are, yeah. We're booked out to the middle of, what are we in, 22, middle of 24. Yeah, so, yeah. It's great because the venue is, you know, perfect garden wedding venue, and people who have the wedding can now book out the house.
Right, the house.
They can utilise the house for that, yeah.
So the bridal party and the groom.
Yeah. Usually the family,
maybe separated and.
Well, it's 7 bedrooms, so they can
bedrooms.
accommodate a lot of people in the home.
Well, so tell me a little bit about the house.
Well, the house is a combination of the original cottage from the 1860s.
Hang on a minute. 1860s.
Yeah, 60. It's one of,
Wow.
well, you know.
That just blows my mind.
Well, the history of South Australia is here in the north and mid-north, and you know, Koonowla's got quite an extensive history of ownership from then. The guy who developed it was a Mr. Tothill, who was an Anglo-Indian in 1890. He planted orchards, vineyards, and he had some grazing stock here. In fact, I didn't show you earlier, but we've got fig trees that are over 100 years old over by the olive groves.
Right.
Yeah, so amazing.
He was a pretty talented guy then, wasn't he?
He was a real entrepreneur in his day, and later I'll show you the Heritage Winery building.
Yeah, right.
From there, they exported wine in a bullock cart from Koonowla here in Auburn to Port Wakefield via clipper ship to England. So it's amazing how much history there is in this place.
And so with the house, we were talking 1860, then
1890 is the main home.
Yeah.
And they were joined together by the previous owner in, I think, the late 1980s.
Right.
It's such a marvellous bit of architecture. You can't tell the difference between the old original cottage and the main home externally. Internally you can, and I'll show you later.
Right. Maybe we'll get a top up and we'll go have a look.
Yes,
yeah?
we can do that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
where can they watch you guys? Are you on?
Cheers, and I'll give you a bit of a top up.
Yeah, give us a top up. We'll go have a tour of the house.
I think you're liking this Primitivo.
I am loving the Primitivo.
Have you had a Primitivo before as a single varietal?
I have.
Yep.
But anything that's lighter bodied, medium bodied is right in my wheelhouse. And I like something that's a little bit tannic as well.
Yeah. Alcohol volume on this is a bit lower than a Shiraz.
Let me have a guess. About 12 and a half, 13?
No, it's 14.
14?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's surprising.
So,
If I'd done some homework, I probably would have known. But yeah. That's great.
Yeah. You feel that back palate on this.
Yeah.
You can really taste that sort of the tannins and that sort of peppery flavour, and it's certainly got a real depth. This is just
I can see why you made the single variety.
Yeah.
It's an absolute cracker. Good work.
Yeah.
Great
Cheers,
work.
Mate. Glad you like it.
I do love it. "60-second wine tasting on the spot. Go."
Mataro, normally used to underpin blends. Shiraz Mataro.
Where are you from? Who are you?
Do you want to start again?
No, we can't wait. 60 seconds.
Okay.
Quick. Keep going.
Really?
Keep going.
Nick George. I'm in the Clare Valley at Koonowla Wines. I own George's Wines and Koonowla Wines. And back to the Mataro, designed to underpin the classic Shiraz Mataro blends. This is the Wendouree clone from the Basil Vineyard.
Is it in GSM?
No.
What's the M?
Isn't it Mataro? Merlot? No?
Anyway, we're looking.
I make it as a single varietal because it's too good to mess up.
And we're looking dark in colour.
Well, we're looking dark in colour.
Purple.
We're
10 seconds, quick.
Single varietal, fantastic. I drink a lot of this. Oh, yeah, good, eh? Yeah.
When your heart is racing at